Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive.
Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before looking to the big double game week 26, let's see how my team performed in the previous game week. Last week, I spoke about both Stuart Dallas and Rafinha being my potential transfers in, with Leeds having an appealing double game week against Wolves and Southampton. In the end, I opted for Rafinha, who brought home a very admirable 12 points. But to be honest, 12 points from him didn't actually do him justice, in what was two exceptional performances from the Brazilian. Over the two games, he created 4 big chances as well as making 10 key passes, the most of any player last week, and was therefore very unlucky not to come away with even 1 assist. Leeds may not have delivered in the opening fixture, but all the main players chipped in against Southampton, with my captain Bamford also getting on the scoresheet. I could have brought in Stuart Dallas last week instead of Rafinha, and of course that would have paid off handsomely as well, with the defender ending up as the highest scorer last game week. However, had I brought in Dallas, then I would have had to have benched one of my Man City clean sheets anyway, and therefore points wise it would have worked out about the same for me. The problem with Dallas getting that huge 17-pointer was more the fact that he's so heavily owned by the managers around me and continues to be one of those players that I'm frustrated not to have owned this season. Fortunately though, my patience with Rashford paid off last week, as it did with Sterling as well, and these two differentials both did the business and therefore softened the blow of the Stuart Dallas haul. There was only the 3 blanks for me last week, with Son worryingly now blanking in 5 of the last 6 game weeks, and Aston Villa certainly missing Jack Grealish against Leicester. With Grealish currently out injured, that definitely makes the Aston Villa options less appealing, particularly Ollie Watkins, who thrives off his service and usually needs a high volume of chances to score. But even so, both Aston Villa and Spurs have a very nice double game week now coming up, therefore I'll be sticking with them for now. So in the end, it was a very solid game week for me, with my side picking up 84 points. As mentioned, the game week was looking a lot better before the very popular Stuart Dallas scored and kept a clean sheet for Leeds, and that did put a dampener on things, reducing my rise in the rankings. A score of 84 did result in a fairly decent green arrow though, taking me from 380 to 307k, a rise of around 73,000 places, and hopefully now with a big double game week coming up, I can get back to moving towards the top 100k. So let's move on to game week 26 now and look at some potential transfer moves as well as my potential team lineup. Also, if you enjoy the content here at FPL TV, then be sure to leave a like and most importantly get subscribed. You can also hit the notification bell so you always know when a new video goes live. I've got 2 free transfers available this week and 1.5 million in the bank, and with that cash I've got just enough available to make a simple transfer of Antonio to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. West Ham are away to Man City in game week 26, as well as having a more difficult run of fixtures over the long term. Everton, on the other hand, have a double game week which I'm really liking the look of, with both their opponents Southampton and West Brom conceding plenty of goals and big chances lately. Personally, I think Calvert-Lewin looks an incredibly strong option this week and is also a strong captaincy candidate for me, so transferring him in seems straightforward and sensible, and that's the one free transfer I've got lined up for game week 26. If you've been watching my channel for a while though, you'd know that transfers are never that straightforward for me, and this week there's one big hitter that I'm certainly a bit concerned not to own. Despite Tottenham's poor form, Harry Kane's double game week against Burnley and Fulham is certainly difficult to ignore. I think there is justification to go without him, because in addition to Tottenham's poor form, both Burnley and Fulham have looked quite good defensively of late. But even so, the temptation is still there to bring him in, with Tottenham's fixtures beyond this double game week also looking quite favourable. In order to accommodate both Calvert-Lewin and Harry Kane this week, then I'd have to take a -4 hit, sell Patrick Bamford for Harry Kane, and also downgrade either Sterling or Rashford in midfield, both who have double game weeks of their own, so not exactly ideal. With the one free transfer of Antonio to Calvert-Lewin pretty much set, let's see how the team could line up with just that move. Using just that one free transfer sets me up pretty well for game week 26, with almost all of my starting 11 having 2 fixtures. For this reason, that's why I'm thinking it's probably sensible just to make the one simple switch to Calvert-Lewin this week and try to forget about Harry Kane. But as the deadline draws closer, that fear factor of not owning a big hitter always starts to creep in, and although it's good to have the likes of Rashford and Sterling for this double, I still don't know if I trust either of them. If I were to downgrade Rashford this week, then probably I'd bring in a 4.3 million bench option and switch to a 3-4-3. The other option, however, is to give Rashford this double game week and instead downgrade Raheem Sterling to his teammate Gundogan, a transfer I've spoken about for a few game weeks now. Sterling still remains a decent differential and has done okay for me, but he hasn't been explosive enough to really justify his price, especially when Gundogan has had the same or more output for a lot less money. I don't think it's guaranteed that Gundogan outscores Sterling this week, and it wouldn't surprise me to see each of them get benched in one of these next two fixtures. But I've got to consider the longer term as well, and freeing up that 6 million does then allow me to get Harry Kane this week. So that's the additional moves I'm weighing up for a -4 hit. For the captaincy in game week 26, even if I were to bring in Harry Kane, I still think I'd put Bruno and Calvert-Lewin ahead of him, and deciding between these two is something I'll be weighing up until the deadline. I think there's no doubting that Bruno is the best and most reliable asset in the game at the moment, so with him now having a double game week, captaining him is not only the safe choice but probably the smart one as well. His opening opponents Chelsea have been superb defensively of late, and I think that's one of the only drawbacks of captaining Bruno. United haven't scored many goals during the bigger games this season, and that's where the reluctancy comes from. Despite the tough fixture though, he could still nick a penalty in that one, and then the Palace fixture that follows is far more favourable, and I can definitely see a big score for Bruno in that one. The Calvert-Lewin option would be purely down to the fixtures, with no teams conceding more goals than Southampton and West Brom over the last 6 game weeks. I think there's a good chance for DCL to bag a brace in one of these 2 games, and if he does, that's absolute dreamland from a captaincy point of view. Everton will surely be buoyed by their win at Anfield last time out, and can only boost their confidence for the upcoming games. Whichever of these 2 I decide on, I'm almost certain I'll be utilising the triple captain chip this week as well, and although I could save it for next week when Man City have another double game week, with them there's always the chance of rotation, and when it comes to my triple captain, I want to be sure they'll play twice. So that's all my thoughts heading into the big double game week 26. As always, if you'd like to see the final team lineup, as well as transfers and captaincy, then you can do so over on the FPL TV Twitter page shortly before the game week deadline. The Calvert-Lewin transfer is pretty much set in stone, but I'll now be deciding on whether to make 2 more transfers and accommodate Harry Kane as well. Good luck to you all for game week 26, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.